Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fyves, and today we're back in the world of Warcraft. Normally on Tuesdays, I do a Tuesday loot day. I wanted to show that off for you guys, but unfortunately, I'm having a lot of problems with recording. I tried doing it on my druid, I tried doing it on my monk, I tried doing it on my priest, I tried doing it on my DK. Just a lot of problems. So today I thought we would just do a little bit something different. I'm on my Death Knight. Gonna try and do just a normal old heroic dungeon for you guys. I will show off what I did get out of the world boss today in Stormheim. It's a 860 Vert Mastery belt, so that's pretty good. Pretty excited for that. Haste is normally the best stat for Death Knights, or at least Blood Death Knights. Everything revolves around rune regeneration and global cooldown. So hopefully we'll get to see this. Hopefully this little nerd of a DPSer will give us that. Having a lot of problems with frame rates. Even when I'm not recording, the best I can do is about 50. So I definitely need to take a look at that, see what's going on. Our poor guy died. But I have been enjoying doing the Death Knight. Don't worry, guys. I haven't given up on the Monk, and I certainly have not given up on the Druid. They are both my primaries. But I've been having a lot of fun with the Death Knights. I have a suspicion that Death Knights might be a little bit better when it comes to dungeoning, specifically keystones, though the Druid obviously is not going to have any problems with that at all. So let's see what happens here. We'll go ahead and see. I'm like even getting latency problems right now, like really bad lag. I don't know. I'm not going to complain about it anymore. I will try to get through this for you guys. I apologize that I wasn't able to get through a loot day last week for you. Again, it's the same problems of just terrible latency and then lag altogether and then other stuff. But no more whining, no more complaining. I'm here to have fun with you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. We are in the Maw of Souls. And if you didn't like it, that's okay. Go ahead and downvote the shit out of it. I still love you. So let's talk about a little bit of the differences of the Death Knight versus the Druid. Pretty dissimilar. They're very different in a lot of ways. The Druid is the ultimate meat shield. They can kind of just take all the punishments, right? And they mitigate a considerable amount of that through Iron Fur, Mark of the Ursol, Rage's Sleeper, trinkets, all sorts of stuff. The Death Knight, however, doesn't have a lot of active mitigation in the fact that it can't turn a button and just stop taking damage. Now, it does have a few of those, but those are on longer cooldowns. Things like Icebound Fortitude is a great damage reduction. Removes it 30% of all damage, as well as cannot be stunned, rooted, or any of that stuff. So that's pretty great. But it is on 2-minute cooldown. I believe it's 2. It's 3 minutes. Okay, so that's, you know, a little bit more on the point of that. However, things that the Death Knight can do. Well, for one, if you guys can see it, they can heal. They can self-heal like a crazy person. And all of that kind of revolves around being aware of the runes that you have, as well as the runic power that you have. So now you certainly, when you first start, get tempted to just spam all the buttons, get all the deeps. And, you know, for the most part, when you're just soloing, that's kind of the way you do it. You just go for it. However, it is a bit different when you start talking about tanking, and especially once you get into the higher levels. You have to slightly plan ahead of your resources. Right now I'm full, but I have no runic power, which means that my actual health regen coming from Death Strike is fairly low because I don't have enough for Death Strike. I don't have enough for that. So you rely on your active mitigations. You rely on things like Vampiric Blood to help you out with that. Now, the good news is that your runic generation, your rune power generation, ramps up very quickly, and that's increased when you have Death and Decay up there. Just a small note, the mechanic of Death and Decay and Heart Strike might be one of the most fun things about this for me. I'm sure everybody has their own thing, but the idea of your Heart Strike is a single target when not in Death and Decay, but when you're in Death and Decay, it's a cleave, is so cool to me. And it's such a simple thing. It's not a lot, but it's those little things. There aren't a lot of mechanically interesting things about the Guardian Druid in that, like, it's in a very exciting class in that you have a lot of active things that you can do to make sure that damage is being smoothed out, but the overall way that you generate rage and all that, it's not super exciting, if I'm being completely honest. And that's just a personal preference. I still love the Druid. Going out and giving bear hugs is great. But what's exciting about the Death Knight is that not only are you thinking ahead with your runic power and your runes and everything else, and your overall, you know, damage, like what am I going to use? Am I going to cleave, or am I focusing on actively reducing the incoming damage, or rather regenning the health that I have? Or am I boosting up, you know, my overall survivability through things like Death and Decay and Vampiric Blood? Those are the type of things that are really, really cool. I really like that. You have things like Dancing Rune Weapon that give you a second level of your attacks. So this is a great way to keep up your Marrow Rend, your Bone Shield. I was hoping we would get through this before that. But let's talk about that a little bit. You have Marrow Rend. This is a awesome ability, but is definitely an interesting part about it. So what Marrow Rend does is, that's on my 1 key right here. And what it does is it does a crap load of damage whenever it hits something. But every time it does, it also applies up to 4 stacks of your Bone Shield. Now, when a Bone Shield is up, you have bonuses to your haste, as well as overall damage reduction. So you want to try to keep it up at its maximum stacks as much as you can, which is 10. As you can see right now, I'm not doing a great job with that. Mostly because when you're in this first level of it, it is a little bit tricky to do. When you're just doing dungeons and stuff, it's not something that I'm prioritizing. It's super easy when you have Dancing Rune Blade, because you just hit that button, hit Marrow Rend twice, and you're maxed out. And it's a lot easier to keep it up high once you're going than it is to build it up. So we'll wait for everybody to come in. All right, everybody's here. Hopefully they'll stack up. For those of you who don't know, this boss, it makes things super duper easy if you stack up, because then when he does his Servitor ability, which is right here, you can just cleave him down, which is wonderful. It also makes it so that I don't have to run around to interrupt the soul sap. All right, so let's talk about a little bit more about this. So what are our main priorities? Well, we want to make sure that we have enough rune power to use Death Strike whenever we need it, because that's going to give us that blood shield as well as our health regen. We want to make sure, though, that our Marrow Rend, or our Bone Shield, is up high enough for 2 reasons. The increased haste is a blessing, because that increases your rune regeneration, which in turn makes it a little bit easier to keep everything up. But also, it reduces the damage you take, which is just an active smoothing out of that damage. Tanks are no longer just like pure damage sponges. I mean, they kind of are. But the other part of it is that your job is to smooth out what's coming in. So 830, not great. Let's do this. Ah. So we're big enough. These guys are doing enough damage. We're just going to go ahead and take this whole pack. So for this one, my job right now is to, one, not make sure I don't die, but also to make sure I interrupt the champion, because he will fear you. And if he fears you in this area, you can see 1, 2, 3 packs that'll pick you up pretty quick. So it can be pretty much a wipe. Actively making sure that that doesn't happen is huge. And of course the DPS is also on top of that, so that's pretty wonderful. This guy's nothing, so we'll go ahead and pull him. I'm gonna pull these guys too. Cluster them up so we can cleave as much as we can. So when we got a big pack like this, what we want to do is just keep Death and Decay up. That's going to keep our threat high. It's also going to give us that cleave ability on Heart Strike. Lots of little beneficial things. It also heals you. I believe it heals you. Maybe not. We don't even need to take that other one as long as people... See? Don't even have to worry about cleaving shit. Does it for us. Oh. Making it exciting for us. Gonna go ahead and pop Icebound Fortitude just to stay safe. You can see right there, that was our Maw of the Damned, or Consumption, which is the Death Knight artifact weapon ability. I can't help you over there, hun. Consumption is such a cool ability. I mean, it's kind of bland in the way it's about as exciting as the Brewmaster one. It's just kind of a big damage, but it also heals you. So it is really good for AoE packs because it does cleave. Alright, it's been a pretty smooth run so far.
I can't attack that target. You have come far enough. Time to die.
So we just want to make sure that we are AoEing as much as we can. We can definitely help out with that. Our damage is ridiculous. Not ours, but this monk's is ridiculous. I have no idea what this monk is even doing in here. So for this fight, or the beginning of this fight, for those of you who have not seen it, the only real trick for the tanks right now is that you got to get on those destructor tentacles as fast as possible, because if you don't taunt it quickly enough, it will start attacking your back end, and if it hits people in the higher levels, it will not necessarily one shot, but do a lot of damage. So just trying to stay on top of that. And the rest of the time is just kill the side tentacles. Once those are done, after a certain point, Helia will pop out. Should see her just in a second here. We found her! So this is where we would normally pop Hero and go for the Winsies, but we don't have it. Quick side note, for tanks, really your big thing is this Torrent ability that she's going to cast. You want to make sure that you always interrupt that, because it is not a game-ending amount of damage. It'll never wipe people, but it is a lot, and it's a burden on the healer. So always keep that interrupted. Usually if you have one other DPS, you can do that, and then just avoid the Corrupted Bellows. There's a few ways to make sure you're dodging that Bellows correctly. The way that I always look is I just look at her belly button, and wherever her belly button is pointing, I make sure I'm not in front of it. Easy peasy. Still in combat, still in combat, still in combat. Alright, we did some very hanky-janky. Alright, well that was it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to pop over to my Druid really quick. I want to show you what I got out of Loot Day, and then I will end this video. I'm going to be making some more videos. Again, I apologize for not making last week's. It was just a bad day. Let me hop over to Eldry real quick, and I'll show you off what I got. Nothing super special. Did not get another legendary yet, but I'm hoping Blizzard. That'd be great this Thanksgiving. I would love that. So for Loot Day this week, I have gotten the Shorn Bat Brood Cuffs. For those of you guys who are paying attention, this is the same set of wrists that I have gotten for the last 6 weeks straight. They've just been higher or lower item levels based on the keystone that I got. So I'm hoping that when I hit a Keystone 10 that I might get a better thing. But yes, quite literally, it's been almost the same ones. I mean, this is thermal bindings, but the same things. Crit mastery, wrists. And unfortunately, even though this is 5 levels higher, it's worse for me because its mastery is crap. But, oh well. I am at 869, which is really exciting, or 867 for equipped. That makes me pretty happy. Got some really good loot out of the other night's raid, last week's raid. So hopefully, if I get anything good, I'm going to try to record tonight during the raid. So hopefully I'll get to show that off for you guys. But if you liked this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't, go ahead and downvote the shit out of it. I still love you. You guys have, as always, a wonderful day. And thank you again for your time.